Hi guys, I'm going to work out the problem from the independent practice. I'm going to go ahead and use trial and error for this, but you guys are having a hard time using the trial and error, so I'll use Murgayu's method, which Murgayu came in and he taught it to me, which is a little more explained than the Ali Khan method. So I'm going to work it out in two ways. So the first thing we recognize is that in the trinomial that a is a negative. Notice that negative in front of there. A cannot be negative. We're not used to it being negative. So what can I do? I can actually factor out a -1. When I factor out something out, remember I'm dividing each of the terms by -1. And then we have a positive 5x squared, and a positive 3x, and a -2. I'm going to go ahead and set up my two parentheses, and notice that that's a negative, so that means that the signs are different. Split up that 5. What are the factors of 5? Factors of 5 are 1 and 5. So I'm going to put a 5 here, 5x, and a 1x here. And then I look at C, and that is a 2. What are the factors of 2? 1 and 2. And so I'm put the 2 here and the 1 here. And let's go ahead and test it out to see if it works. Let's do the outer. That's going to give you a -10. And the inner gives you a +1. I'm trying to get to this +3, and that is definitely not it. So let's go ahead and switch this 1 and this 2. Let's go ahead and switch them. I'm going to put, let's go ahead and erase all this. I'm going to put the 2. Oh, definitely did not want that. I want the 2 here and the 1 here. And so when I do the outer for this, I get a -5. And if I multiply the inner, I get a +2, which gives me a -3. I need a +3. So what do? I am going to switch the sign. So this and these two signs are going to be switched. So I'm going to put a, let's see, a negative there and a positive here. So now let's go ahead and test that out. Oh, sorry, I'm having trouble with the eraser. So if I do the outer, it gives me a +5. If I multiply the inner, it gives me a -2. And now I get a +3, and I have found my factors. Yay! So I'm going to do it the other method. Now, for this method to work, once again, we have to find out the GCF, factor out the GCF, and it's very helpful when A is a positive. So once again, we're going to factor out that -1, and so we end up with a 5x squared plus 3x minus 2. And I showed some of you guys the Ali Khan method, but I'm going to go ahead and show you the Murgayu method. So what you do is you take 5 and you multiply it with C. So what you are left with is an x squared plus 3x minus 10. And then I'm going to create my two parentheses with the correct signs for the second term. And then I try to figure out factors of 10. When you add them together, it becomes 3. So we have, it's a -10. So we have 1 and 10. And then one of them gets a positive, the other gets a negative. And the way we know which factor gets the positive is this sign right here. So that tells us the larger of the factor is a plus, the smaller of the factor is a minus. Add that together, you get a 9. I'm trying to get to this middle term here. Okay, and then we do a -2 and a positive 5. And when you add those two together, you get a positive 3. So that works out. So I am going to put the 2 here and the 5 here. So I have it set up. I need a little more space. I have a plus 5 minus 2. Now I am going to take the a that I originally used to multiply with c, and I'm going to do 5 divided by 5 and divide both of these factors by it, and then I'm going to reduce. So it's 1 and 1. That denominator goes to the front, and it becomes an x plus that numerator that's simplified is the second term. This 2 over 5 cannot be reduced. We take that 5, put it in the front, 5x minus 2. Don't forget that negative 1 that you factored out in the beginning. And so that is your final answer. Just like the trial and error method, it's the same thing. Same answer. Okay? Good job.